Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well and finding some peace in your day. Let me ask you something. Are you truly okay right now? Or do you feel like you're not okay at all? What I mean is, maybe you've noticed that your emotional state isn't stable. You're not able to hold on to that calm, balanced mindset for very long. Instead, your mood goes up and down, almost as if some hidden force is pulling the strings, and you're no longer in control of yourself. It's like you've become someone else, someone who's easily irritated, quick to anger, reactive, overly sensitive, hurt too easily, and shaken by even the smallest disruptions. When life throws unexpected challenges your way, events you didn't plan for, things that go against your wishes, you may react with anxiety, fear, or sadness. But here's the problem. Even after those difficulties have passed, you may still feel restless, uneasy, and on edge. That's a sign that something deeper is going on. It suggests that you might be dealing with psychological wounds. And one of the most common issues people face today is depression. Now, depression basically means you've allowed your emotions and your mental energy to sink down to a very low level. And then you get stuck there. You live in a negative state for days, weeks, or even longer. It's like being caught in quicksand. You can't pull yourself out, and the more you struggle, the deeper you sink. You might even compare it to once being a lively bird, flying freely in the sky, but now you feel like a fragile cat, sensitive to every little sound and movement. Depression often unfolds in three major stages. The first stage is boredom and emptiness. You feel like nothing excites you anymore. When you wake up in the morning, you have no energy, no drive to do anything. Even things that used to make you happy or passionate, projects, hobbies, work you once loved, suddenly mean nothing to you. You don't want to meet anyone, you don't care about relationships, and you prefer isolating yourself in your room. Instead, you spend your time with your phone, your computer, or maybe your pet. That's stage one. The second stage is fear. Fear of crowds, fear of strangers, even fear of facing the people you love. You're afraid they might notice something is wrong, or that they're judging you, examining you, or questioning your choices. You become afraid of difficult tasks, afraid you won't measure up, and your self-confidence starts to crumble. You begin to see yourself as small and insignificant in this huge, overwhelming world. Everything outside feels dangerous. And then comes stage three, despair. This is when you feel like you've wandered into a dark forest with no path out, or like you've fallen into a bottomless pit where there's nothing to hold on to. You feel completely misunderstood, convinced that nobody could ever truly grasp what you're going through. Life itself feels meaningless. In this stage, many people think about death over and over again, and sadly, some even act on those thoughts. It's heartbreaking, but here's something important I want you to know. Depression isn't as terrifying as it may seem. It's just one part of the human condition, a flaw that can be addressed, healed, and transformed. It's not a permanent identity. It doesn't define your entire being. The real question is, are you aware of it? Have you been able to look at yourself honestly and say, yes, I'm struggling. Yes, something is wrong. Have you given your full effort to seek help, to care for yourself, to begin healing? Do you know the practical methods that can actually work? And most importantly, have you truly committed to using them? Because if you know you have a problem but keep ignoring it or refuse to admit it, then the condition will get worse. And not only will it damage you, but it will also affect the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, your coworkers. So why does this happen to us in the first place? The short answer is weak mental resilience. When our inner strength isn't solid, we can't face life's difficulties head on. For someone with a strong, healthy mind, challenges and unexpected hardships may still sting, but they can recover quickly. Their natural psychological balance helps them heal and move forward. But when your inner foundation is fragile, even small problems can knock you down. And why is it weak? Often it's because we've neglected ourselves for too long. Instead of turning inward to care for our own mind and spirit, we chase after external things, work, possessions, relationships, or even obsessions. We pour all of our time, energy, and emotions into these outside targets, and when they inevitably shift, change, or disappear, we're left without anything stable to hold on to. What we should do in those moments is turn inward, return to ourselves, and rebuild that inner foundation. But instead, most of us run right back outside, looking for yet another distraction to fill the emptiness. There are other reasons too. Sometimes weak mental resilience comes from childhood experiences. Maybe you were spoiled too much, or maybe life was simply too easy and convenient growing up. You never had the chance to build real endurance. Other times, it could even be genetic. Some families naturally pass down a more fragile emotional structure. You might be talented, kind, creative, or intelligent, but emotionally, you may not have inherited the same strength. And that's just part of the natural balance of life. So when someone is struggling with depression, the first step is to look within, to recognize that the roots of the problem are often inside us, not entirely caused by others, not just by circumstances, but by how we respond to them. Now, can depression actually be healed? The answer is yes, but it's not easy. Even in the most advanced medical systems in the world, like in the United States, the common treatment still heavily relies on medication. Doctors often prescribe antidepressants because these drugs trigger the brain to release two key chemicals, endorphins and serotonin. These are the natural substances that give us a sense of happiness, calm, and stability. But here's the catch. People with depression usually lack these chemicals because their brains have grown dependent on external stimulation. Over time, they've relied too much on outside sources, whether it's alcohol, drugs, sex, overwork, relationships, or, in today's world, endless scrolling on phones and computers. The brain starts to believe that peace and comfort can only be found out there, not in here. And when those external sources fade or disappear, the brain feels starved and panics. That's when depression deepens. Medication can help, yes, but it also comes with side effects. People may become numb, emotionally flat, or even dependent on the drugs. They lose some of their natural spark, their genuine feelings. That's why natural methods of healing are so important. And we'll talk about those in detail. But I need to be honest. Natural methods require effort. They require you to change your lifestyle, your habits, your patterns of thought. For someone already drained of energy and motivation, this can feel nearly impossible. That's why support, real, caring, consistent support from others, is often essential to get started. So what's the first step in natural healing? It begins with acceptance. You have to admit to yourself, I'm struggling, I need help, I need to change. Without this, no progress is possible. Once you acknowledge it, the next step is to trust that you already carry the resources within you. Your brain is still capable of producing endorphins and serotonin. Your heart still holds reserves of peace, love, and resilience. They're not gone, you just need to invite them back. So, how do we invite those natural resources back? How do we help our brain and our heart remember what it feels like to be balanced and whole again? The first practical step is to cut down external overload. That means reducing the amount of work, obligations, and distractions outside of yourself. Maybe you can cut it in half, or even pause completely for a while, so you can dedicate your energy to turning inward. The goal here isn't to abandon life, but to clear space for healing. Once you've made room, it's time to rebuild structure. Depression thrives in chaos and lack of routine, so you need to reintroduce order into your daily life. That means waking up at a consistent time, practicing morning exercise, keeping your living space clean, cooking meals for yourself, caring for a plant, or spending time with your pet. These simple, grounding activities send signals to your mind that life can be manageable again. Equally important is social connection. but in safe doses. Depression pushes people to isolate, but humans aren't built to heal in total solitude. Start small. Spend time with loved ones who feel safe, people who won't judge you. Even a short walk or a light conversation with someone you trust can make a huge difference. And then, of course, there's rest. True rest. Give yourself permission to sleep enough, to nap if needed, to lie down and let your body recharge without guilt. Depression often steals energy, so reclaiming it through rest is critical. Another step is to engage in mindful practices, things like yoga, breathing exercises, and especially meditation. These practices allow you to reconnect with both your body and your inner world. One of the most powerful tools here is keeping a journal. Write down the emotional shifts you notice. Record when sadness comes, when fear arises, when despair takes over. By putting them into words, you start to see patterns, and that awareness itself becomes a form of healing. Now let's talk about Vipassana meditation, a practice many people have found deeply transformative. Vipassana literally means insight or clear seeing. It's about observing your mind and its movements with patience and without judgment. Imagine sitting quietly and watching your thoughts like clouds passing through the sky. Sometimes you'll see storm clouds, anger, despair, fear. Other times you'll see lighter ones, joy, hope, gratitude. The key is not to chase them or push them away, but simply to notice, this is happening. This is what my mind is creating right now. When you watch like this, something incredible happens. The monsters of the mind, the negative thoughts, the destructive emotions, begin to lose their grip. They thrive in darkness and in avoidance, but when you shine the light of awareness on them, they weaken. You start to see that they are not permanent, not absolute truths, just temporary states that will pass. Through consistent practice, you begin to recover your sense of self, not the broken, fragile self that depression wants you to believe in, but the resilient, authentic self that has always been there. And here's something worth repeating. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not doomed to live forever under the weight of depression. The truth is, healing is possible, but it demands honesty, patience, and effort. Of course, making these changes isn't easy. For a person already struggling with low energy and lack of motivation, altering lifestyle habits can feel impossible. That's why I emphasize the importance of support. Sometimes what we need most is someone to walk beside us, to inspire us, to remind us of our worth when we forget it ourselves. Healing doesn't have to be a solo journey, but even with help, the fundamental responsibility still lies with you. No one else can enter your mind and rearrange your thoughts for you. Others can guide, encourage, and hold you up when you stumble, but ultimately, you must decide to stand again. Now let's be practical. Imagine someone currently battling depression wants to start small. What can they do today? Acknowledge, say it out loud, or write it down. I am struggling, but I want to heal. That declaration alone is powerful. Simplify. Cut down on unnecessary obligations. Prioritize only what truly matters. Routine. Wake up at the same time. Do one small chore each morning, like making your bed. Movement. Even a short walk outside counts. Movement reawakens energy in the body. Connection. Reach out to someone safe, even if it's just sending a message. Mindfulness. Take 5 minutes to sit quietly and observe your breath. Notice what arises. Rest. Let yourself sleep without guilt. Healing requires energy. These steps may seem simple, even too simple. But small victories build momentum, and momentum is what depression tries to steal from you. It's also worth noting that while natural methods are powerful, sometimes medication is necessary, especially in severe cases. There's no shame in this. If you need professional treatment, take it. Medicine can provide the stability needed for you to engage with natural healing practices more effectively. Think of it not as a crutch, but as a temporary tool. Still, remember that no pill can replace the deep, inner work of rebuilding your life. The true antidote lies in nurturing your inner world, in learning how to return to yourself when the outside world collapses. Depression often convinces people that they are weak, that they are helpless. But here's the paradox. Every person I've ever seen come out of depression emerges stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Why? Because they've been to the depths of darkness and found their way back. That journey shapes a kind of resilience no one can take away. Let me give you an image. Imagine a forest after a wildfire. At first, it looks like nothing will ever grow again. But slowly, new shoots push up through the ashes. Tiny green leaves appear, life returns, and eventually the forest becomes richer and more vibrant than before. That's what healing from depression can look like. So don't give up on yourself. Even if right now everything feels heavy, even if you can't see a way out, know that the seeds of recovery are already inside you. They're just waiting for the right conditions, your care, your patience, your persistence to grow. As we continue in this series, I want to remind you that I'll be walking alongside you. You're not alone. Together we'll keep exploring tools, insights, and practices that can help you heal the wounds of the mind and heart. And before I close this section, let me leave you with a reminder. The path to healing is not a straight line. Some days you'll feel better, other days you'll feel like you're slipping back. That's okay. Progress is not perfection. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself again and again. So take a deep breath. Remind yourself that your story isn't over. Your future is not defined by this moment of struggle. You have within you everything you need to heal, to rise, and to thrive again. Now let's go a little deeper. We've talked about awareness, acceptance, lifestyle changes, and natural healing practices. But healing depression also requires a shift in mindset, how we see ourselves, our struggles, and our future. Think about it. So much of depression is tied to the way we interpret our experiences. When something painful happens, do we see it as the end, or do we see it as part of the human journey? Do we label ourselves as failures, or do we acknowledge that setbacks are temporary? The stories we tell ourselves matter. And if the story you've been repeating is, "I'm broken, I can't go on, nothing will ever change," then of course your mind will believe it. But what if you began telling a different story? Something like, "Yes, I'm struggling. Yes, I've been hurt, but I am also healing. I am learning. I am not done yet." This isn't about blind optimism. It's about reclaiming your narrative. Because the truth is, depression doesn't define you. It's something you're experiencing, not something you are. One of the best ways to shift perspective is through gratitude practice. I know it may sound cliche, but it works. Gratitude redirects your focus from what's missing to what's present. It trains your brain to notice the small sparks of light even in dark times. Try this. Every evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Maybe it's the taste of your morning coffee, a text from a friend, the sound of rain outside your window. Over time, these small notes accumulate, and your mind begins to build new pathways, ones that lean toward hope instead of despair. Another powerful tool is service to others. When you're depressed, the world shrinks down to your own pain. But when you step outside yourself to help someone else, whether it's volunteering, supporting a friend, or even just offering a smile, you expand your perspective. You remember that life is bigger than your suffering, and that you still have value to give. But remember, healing isn't just about doing more. It's also about learning to let go. Let go of perfectionism. Let go of the belief that you need to have it all figured out. Let go of comparing yourself to others. These are heavy burdens, and you don't need to carry them. In fact, one of the most liberating realizations you can have is that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to take longer than others. You're not in a race. You're in a process, a deeply human process of learning how to live with compassion for yourself. Now let's circle back to something important, the role of community. In many cultures, mental health is still stigmatized. People are afraid to admit they're struggling. They put on a brave face, but inside they're breaking. If that's you, I want to remind you, reaching out for help doesn't make you weak. It makes you courageous. Find someone you trust, a friend, a mentor, a therapist, a support group. Share your truth. Let them know what you're going through. Sometimes, simply speaking your pain aloud is enough to lighten the load. And sometimes, the wisdom or kindness of another person can spark a breakthrough you couldn't reach on your own. Of course, not everyone will understand, and that's okay too. What matters is finding those who do. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, not those who drain you. Healing is already hard enough. You don't need extra weight pulling you down. At this point, you may be wondering, is there a finish line? Does healing mean I'll never feel sad, anxious, or overwhelmed again? The answer is no. Healing doesn't mean erasing pain. It means learning how to meet pain without being destroyed by it. It means building resilience so that when life shakes you, you bend but don't break. Think of it like this. Storms will always come. You can't control the weather, but you can learn to build a stronger shelter. You can learn to root yourself deeply so that even when the winds blow, you remain standing. So yes, depression can be healed, but more than that, it can be transformed into a source of strength. Many people who recover from depression discover a new depth of empathy, creativity, and wisdom. They become more attuned to the struggles of others, more grateful for moments of joy, and more committed to living authentically. I want you to imagine your future self, the one who has walked through this valley and come out the other side. What would that version of you say to the person you are now? Probably something like, "Don't give up, keep going. You're stronger than you know, and this darkness will not last forever." Let that voice guide you. Let it remind you that healing is not only possible, it's already happening, even in small, invisible ways. Every breath you take, every time you choose to keep living, every small act of care for yourself, that is healing. And if you're watching this and you're not the one struggling, but you know someone who is, then here's my invitation. Be present for them. Don't rush to fix them or lecture them. Just listen. Just sit with them. Let them know they're not alone. Sometimes the greatest gift you can offer is simply your presence. Before we close, I want to emphasize one more thing. Healing doesn't always look dramatic. It's not always about big breakthroughs or sudden changes. More often, it looks like tiny, consistent steps. Getting out of bed, eating a meal, taking a walk, writing in a journal. Celebrate these steps. They matter. They add up. So if today you manage to do even one small thing for yourself, be proud. That's progress. That's proof you're moving forward, even if it feels slow. To sum up, here are the key takeaways. Depression is real, but it's not your identity. Awareness and acceptance are the first steps to healing. Natural methods, routine, rest, mindfulness, connection are powerful. Medication can help, but it's not the only solution. Gratitude, service, and letting go of perfectionism can shift your mindset. Community and support are vital. Healing doesn't mean eliminating pain, but learning to live with resilience. Every small step counts. I'll continue to share more insights, practices, and encouragement in future videos. Remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm here with you, walking alongside you, and together, step by step, we can move from darkness into light. So take a breath, place your hand on your heart, and tell yourself, I am still here, I'm still alive, I'm still healing. Thank you for listening, thank you for your presence, and thank you for choosing to take care of yourself today.